Welcome to one of a series of videos of WAPTEC's partial, limited, modified, hangout, plausibly deniable, rubber hose encrypted crypto steganography about a subject. The YouTube video will have those in the title because, well, dog whistling, right? Let's move on. Bernard J. Eastlund, 1938 through 2007, RIP, was an American physicist with a Columbia University Ph.D. in physics after getting a MIT Bachelor of Science in Physics, who authored 53 peer-reviewed scientific papers and 23 U.S. patents and/or applications, including one specific one, and only one that people try to cite. Method and apparatus for altering a region of the Earth's, quote, atmosphere, magnetosphere, and/or ionosphere. It only did the ionosphere. The patent required a large radio transmitter that would generate a current to create electromagnetic radiation to excite a section of the ionosphere. See, it's only the ionosphere. And he was in favor of weather modification, or at least funding research into it. And weather control that would reduce the impact of severe weather. He later claimed a project in Alaska was based on his body of work and he was robbed, etc. As people get older and older, they get bitter and bitter? Or was this just so he could get some attention? The large antenna either was, quote, 40 miles square or 40 square miles. That's a Wikipedia error. Let's review the title of the video now. Partial, limited, modified hangout with plausibly deniable, rubber hose encrypted, crypto steganography about a subject. Yes, I have trouble pronouncing steganography. I can't pronounce it correctly. This is like a person who drops their H's and you make them do a sentence filled with H's, okay? I can't do the word correctly. That word I can't pronounce correctly, which, the word that shall remain unspoken, is where you have an apparently innocent-looking image or sound file that has some secret code in it. Or not. It doesn't in this case. Rubber hose encryption is where you make it to where even if someone was to force you to give up a password, it still wouldn't get them anything by various methods. Plausible deniability is where you create a situation where there is a pathway to trace it back to some superior, but they always have the ability to deny responsibility. Partial, limited, and/or modified hangouts are where you allow some information to be able to be caught, chaff and winnow style, where you make it to where some information can be got and you can detect a leak through it. That's the chaff and winnow. And also, it makes it to where people will accuse you of something that seems embarrassing or career-ruining, but it can't. And at least they got you on something, so they're satisfied, and then they go off and screw around with something else. Having a patent listed in Wikipedia that mentions something of a certain size, but it says the expression 40 miles square. Some of you are interpreting it, well, of course that means it was 40 square miles. And some of you are going to immediately start typing, it's 40 miles by 40 miles square. It's misinterpreted both ways. That's like saying tenfold. One of the interpretations when you say fold is doubling. So tenfold is multiplying something by 1024, or they say tenfold just means you're multiplying by 10, so why are you using the word fold? Which means it's just 10 times. It can't be both. And yes, there is an argument on Wikipedia whether or not the correct answer should be there. Tenfold means you folded it 10 times, which means if something's tenfold the original value, it's 1024 times larger. I'm sorry, but that's literally where the origin came from. It's now used to just mean times. Fold means times, right? Some of you are going to argue down in the comment section about that and whether or not it's, a 40 mile square is 40 miles on each side or it's 40 square miles. These ways of communicating interrupt our ability to take someone seriously, if that was in the patent. I have a link to the patent. It ends in 605A/EN for English. I recommend you leave it in English or switch it to English if it switches it to something else, because it was originally an English language patent done apparently in the United States. We're at the 5-minute and 25-second mark right about now. Hi, welcome to the real portion of our discussion about HARP. That's the only time I'm going to use the word, and you already know what this is about. High altitude, aurora, research, blah, blah, modifying the ionosphere directly above a specific source. Well, it's extremely pinpointed, and it can aim any direction it wants to. No, that was the experiment, and it failed. It alters the ionosphere, kind of. It was an experiment to see if they could. They decided to throw a lot of wattage at it. It was dismantled a long time ago. Criticizing the government the easy and fast and simple way. Dear FBI agent assigned to the YouTube channel watching my shit, because you're the only one who watches. You're my only friend. Why the fuck did you build a supposedly not really super secret piece of equipment out in Alaska, state rather categorically it was being shut down, and then not dismantle it? Well, we donated it to university. The U.S. military and Air Force are notorious for literally glassing an area. Like, it looks like it'd been hit with an atom bomb, but literally going out and ripping up every bit of everything so people can't figure out what grade of cement they use, and then giving it up to somebody to make a duck pond out of. Birds Unlimited or whatever got a donation once for a hunk of dirt, and making sure the ground's safe. It is, by the way, even where HARP is. I said it again. So, and just ripping everything up so it never looks like it ever had a base there. Or in other countries, and in the United States, sometimes in Australia, having a base put in and abandoning it years ago and just not ever taking it apart because it's a foothold. It's a place to land a plane. Buppy, you guys you spread a conspiracy theory about the location just like you did Area 51, and you didn't just fucking demilitarize, dismantle, and move on. You want a controversy. Yes, partial, limited, modified hangout with plausible deniability, encrypted against rubber hose techniques. Bernard J. Eastlund was used as a patsy. That's not a buzzword here. That's not a dog whistle. Yes, Area 51 literally was, that incident you're thinking of, a weather balloon. Doesn't matter that it was only starting point of weather balloon, and it was actually mylar and or electrostatically lined, made into a gigantic electric condensate microphone to pick up atom bomb blasts. But the cover story was that it was a weather balloon because it literally was. Well, it doesn't look like any weather balloon, wow. And everyone's like, Literally telling people the truth instead of lying to them worked, because quite literally it was literally a weather balloon. But it was being repurposed as a physically large microphone. Hooking up equipment to detect electrostatic charges made it, by accident, into a microphone. So they just started leaning into it and releasing weather balloons to pick up whether the Soviets were detonating bombs. But they didn't want them to know it, so they just said weather balloon. Because they made sure the photos were leaked. You might be able to see the Area 51 photos. The Russians immediately said, yeah, it's a weather balloon. And immediately ignored. Literally telling people the truth worked better than lying to them, because they created conspiracy theories out of it. And the government encouraged that. You're soaking in it. News anchor and weather girl and someone from the location in Alaska talking on French television, explaining the thing for the umpteenth fucking time while still receiving death threats every day. You might have noticed a certain variety of numbskull sending death threats these days. No, it's not the liberals. No, it's not. Because they're slightly less likely to get fooled this way, to where they'll become weaponizable. No. Sorry, it's not both sides. One side is very weaponizable. I'm extremely weaponizable if I'm ignorant about a subject. So when I'm ignorant on a subject, I say, hold up, someone's trying to get me to become a activist. That's what we call the radicals in the liberal side, activists, which I downgrade because most of them are people who won't fix anything. We take action. Yeah, but you don't fix anything. You just break it more and make us all look bad on purpose because they're infiltrators or just traitors. What about outfiltrators? Someone saying, yeah, a weather girl, meteorologist who actually knows what she's talking about, and a news anchor, a person who's supposed to be able to detect bullshit a mile away. This is on a French channel. Know what something can and cannot do. Yeah, by asking the expert across the table who built the fucking thing at the time. They lost all credibility the second they mentioned the World Health Organization or any other international organization. It's all part of globalism. Another comment under the video. The UN made a treaty against weaponizing weather in 1978. Do they usually make global treaties on non-existent technology? The answer to that is they wanted to make it against international law, which has no effect on any country if you haven't noticed, for people trying to deliberately make a monsoon season last longer than normal in Vietnam. You can look this up. It actually happened. Yeah. These aren't the same things. We're not the same subject matter here. Well, yeah, they can do it. Yeah, cloud seeding using silver iodine, which people know about and have been using a long time now. And even there's rumors of accidentally causing this stuff by the Chinese in ancient times, launching gunpowder rockets up that had pretty colors in it, that had silver compounds in it. A news segment saying something is fake must mean it's real. And another comment on another video, I'm collecting a bunch of them here. If you tell me not to do something, I'll do it just to spite you. That's called being a contrarian. Let's get this done. We're going to look up Bernard Eastlund, limited hangout, deniable encryption, the patent, and the query haarp, sorted by latest video. If you want to do this, make sure the video's in your language. Yes, this is a very popular subject in other languages, and the languages are languages notorious for not being able to translate English language content correctly, so they're never going to be able to learn. No, they're not ignorant. They're just blocked because of language barrier. The language barrier is like the great barrier at the edge of the galaxy in Star Trek. Dangerous to get through and not for the faint of heart. You can also look up the Google query spy jargon. I want to point out that if I type in limited hangout or modified limited hangout or partial limited modified hangout, Google will redirect you to Google Hangouts because they're a monopoly that needs to be taken apart. Or maybe they're your hero because, well, obviously if you're trying to silence Google, it must mean something dark side. We're at the 13-minute and 24-second mark. Again, the rules. It's not the Wikipedia article. You don't read the fucking article. You read its history and look up every one of the citations at the bottom of the page, and you don't read the goddamn article. You learn by looking up the authority, the author, the originating source, the background story, the etymology, the history of it, by hitting the history button and looking the oldest to the newest. You have to learn how to navigate information and tease out the details and rip violently the reality, the facts, from the bullshit. It's not called truth anymore. It's purely facts. I have an opinion. I state the opinion after I state my facts in most of my videos. But I will ahead of the time tell you, I think this is bullshit, but here's what I looked up that says it wasn't and was bullshit. And you can make your own decisions. And my conclusion shouldn't be, I mean, I don't want you to ignore it, but you shouldn't really take it to heart. It's just my opinion. But there are some things that are just reality and not reality, and you're going to have to stop embracing non-reality. It's copium. Stop it. You're all digging a fucking grave for yourself. You think you're digging it for somebody else. And you won't even admit you're digging a grave. Some of you won't even admit you've been weaponized and made into potentially a sleeper agent against your own people. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. Please learn or you'll burn.